I killed a man, and I don't even regret it. Last month, I went to the mall to do some grocery shopping. I live alone in California, and it was getting close to closing time, so the mall was starting to empty. I went straight to the food section and grabbed everything I needed: fresh meat, juice, veggies, the works. I walked out to the parking lot with 2 heavy bags in each hand. They were weighing me down, but I finally made it to my car. I set the bags down to dig out my keys when suddenly a voice called out, "Miss, can you help me, please?" I looked around. The empty parking lot stretched out in front of me, filled with cars but no people. "Hello? Is someone there?" I asked, confused. I waited a minute, but there was no response. A cold fear started to creep in, being all alone in that lot at night. I opened my car and began loading the bags onto the back seat. Just as I was about to climb in, a blood-stained hand grabbed my arm. I screamed, "Please, you have to help me, or he's going to kill me." A woman was standing right there next to me. I saw that she had been stabbed in the stomach and was bleeding out. "Oh my God, what happened to you?" "My husband, he saw me. That's why he wants to kill me now. He stabbed me and snatched me from my house. He's going to bury me in the woods so no one ever knows what happened. Please, help me." I was terrified for her. "Okay, I'm taking you to the hospital. We'll call the police from there. Let's just get you out of here." She was sobbing in agony as I helped her into the back of my car. I shut the door and was about to get into the driver's seat when I heard a man's voice close by. "Hey, have you seen my wife?" I looked over and saw a medium-built man standing on the other side of the lot, maybe 30 or 40 feet away. From that distance, he couldn't see inside my car. "Calm down. Don't make a sound," I whispered to the injured woman. The man started walking towards me. There was nothing off about his appearance. He looked like a perfectly normal guy with an ordinary face. It gave me chills, realizing this man was a cold-blooded murderer. It's scary how hard it is to read people's true intentions. "No, I haven't seen anyone," I said firmly. She was waiting in the parking lot. She was feeling a bit sick, so I let her rest in the car. "Well, I don't think I saw anyone. I was busy with my bags. But maybe I heard some footsteps toward the back." "Great, thanks." The man gave me a normal smile, as if nothing terrifying was going on in his head. He turned around and started heading back to his car. I let out a massive sigh of relief. Finally, I could get this woman to safety and have this monster arrested. I got in and shut the door. I was about to turn the engine when a phone started ringing. "Oh my God, it's him. He's calling me," the woman gasped. He saw her. He knew she was with me. I didn't waste another second. I slammed the car into gear, and then I heard a roar. "Stop that fucking car!" I floored the accelerator. My tires screeched as the car lurched forward. I looked to my left and saw the man sprinting towards us at full speed. I knew if he caught us, he'd kill both of us and dump our bodies in the woods. I was in the middle of the parking lot. It would take at least 5 to 7 minutes to navigate the turns to the exit. The man was running alongside my window, screaming over and over, "Stop, stop," I said. But I didn't stop. I couldn't go too fast because if I hit the turns with too much speed, I'd risk slamming into the concrete walls near the exit. Suddenly, the man caught up and leapt onto the car. He landed hard on the hood with a massive thud. We both screamed. This man was the devil incarnate. He grabbed onto my windshield wipers, balancing himself on the hood. "Stop, stop," I said. "Everything she told you is a lie. My wife is sick," the man screamed, his voice cracking with desperation. "Stop the car right now." He knew that if we reached the police, he'd rot in prison forever. I don't know what snapped inside him, but he leaned in and started punching the windshield with all his strength. He was pounding on the glass, howling like a lunatic. "I want my wife. Let her go. Stop this fucking car." I was in a state of total panic. In the back seat, the woman was hyperventilating. "Please, don't let him touch me. He's going to kill me. Oh God, help us." The cacophony of her terrified cries, his guttural growls, and the rhythmic thud, thud, thud of his fists against the glass made it impossible to think. My focus shattered. I missed the turn for the exit and the car plowed straight into a concrete wall. I screamed as the wall rushed toward us. The headlights exploded into 1,000 shards. My head slammed into the steering wheel. Blood began to warm my face, and the world faded into black. But just before I lost consciousness, I saw through a red blur that my windshield was covered in a thick, dark spray of blood. I woke up in the hospital the next morning. "How are you feeling?" a voice asked. A doctor was standing by my bed, accompanied by a nurse. I felt a throbbing pain in my skull and realized my head was wrapped in heavy bandages. "What happened to me?" I managed to croak out. "You were in a serious accident last night, but everything is under control now." I stayed in the hospital for another week. I eventually learned that the woman I had picked up had lost a massive amount of blood, but she was going to survive. The man, however, the one who jumped on my hood, when the car hit the wall, he was crushed between the vehicle and the concrete. The security cameras caught the whole thing. It showed the car impacting the wall and the guy's head basically exploding, splattering the entire windshield. The police arrived after security called 911 about the bizarre incident they were watching on their monitors. The man was dead. I had killed him. Even if it was an accident, I took a life. I could have rotted in prison if that woman hadn't survived to tell the truth. She told the cops everything. Her husband was a drug dealer. That night, they'd had a violent argument because she threatened to turn him in. That's when he took a kitchen knife and buried it in her stomach. He thought she was dead. He put her in his car to dump the body in the woods, but he stopped at the mall to buy bleach to clean up the crime scene. I'm so grateful I was able to save her life. I was cleared of all charges. The camera footage made it undeniable that I was acting out of fear for my life. I still have to live with the fact that I killed someone. It makes me sad, but I know there was no other way out. I try not to blame myself. I did what I had to do. That collision was enough to shatter anyone's nerves. If you survived that rush, pulse the like button and join the Shadow Realm by subscribing. But stay sharp, because while some monsters hunt in the streets, others are already waiting for you in the deepest corners of the mind. I've been a psychiatrist for 10 years now. It's never easy working with patients with severe mental health struggles. Most people still don't take mental health as seriously as physical health. They look down on those who suffer. The first rule of psychiatry is to treat the patient with extreme calm and patience. A single poorly chosen word can devastate a patient's progress. Unfortunately, I learned that lesson the hard way at the very beginning of my career. It started with a patient named Kevin. He was originally from Rhode Island, but had moved to New Jersey for reasons he wouldn't disclose. I learned plenty of strange things about his life, but he never told me why he chose New Jersey. We had appointments twice a week. He was the kind of patient who required special care and total attention. Our sessions usually ran long. Kevin was shy, probably in his late 20s. He would come into my office and sit on the large sofa, his shoulders slumped and his eyes darting around the room, as if he were looking for something hidden in the corners. He always looked terrified. I initially suspected schizophrenia, at least his words and gestures pointed that way. But as time went on, I began to discover details about him that were absolutely bone-chilling. One rainy afternoon, I was waiting for Kevin in my office. He was late, which was shocking, because he was usually early for every appointment. My secretary, Pamela, finally poked her head in. "Kevin is here, doctor. Should I send him in?" "Yes, please. I need to get home early for some research tonight. Let's get started." Kevin walked in and sat in his usual spot. But this time, he had a bizarre smile on his face. He was grinning like a happy little girl. "Someone looks happy today," I noted. "What's the big news, Kevin?" "I met a girl last night," he said. "That's great to hear. Do you like her?" "Yes. I chased her." "What? Where did you meet her?" I asked, my concern immediately spiking. "In my dreams." I can't tell you how relieved I was to hear that. Knowing he was talking about a dream and not a real-world stalking incident was a huge weight off my shoulders. All right, what did she look like? I couldn't see her face, he whispered. I was on the beach when I heard footsteps. When I turned around, I saw this girl standing far away. Her back was towards me, but she had such beautiful long hair. Her hair was just floating there in the air. Did you try talking to her? I asked. Yes, I told her, look at me, but she just started running, so I went after her. She was running slowly, but somehow I could never quite catch up to her. But I didn't stop. I ran, and then, suddenly, looking around, I saw a fire. Fire? Where? On the beach? No, he said. Fire was all around me. Just fire and nothing else. I tried to scream, Kevin whispered, because the fire was closing in to burn me alive. That's when I woke up. I see. Have you ever dreamed about this girl before? No. Or the fire? Never, he said. I've never seen that much fire in my life. Look, Kevin, it was just a dream. You don't have to worry about a dream. Here, I'm going to prescribe you something to help you sleep better. I talked to him for a bit longer and gave him the medication. I told him it would do him some good to get out and be around people. I didn't know if he actually took my advice to heart, but Kevin's strange dreams continued. The following week, Kevin came back to see me. So, how are you feeling today? I saw that girl again, he said, but this time the dream wasn't pleasant at all. I don't want to have it anymore. Kevin had been so enthusiastic about this girl before, so I asked him, did you two have a falling out, Kevin? Kevin stared at the ceiling for a long moment. Then he said, I was ready to catch her this time. As soon as she started running, I chased after her with everything I had. She must have realized I was going to catch her. I reached out for her hair, but she slashed my wrist with a large knife. It was like she didn't want me to get anywhere near her. Kevin, all of this is just a dream. Is there someone in real life you're trying to see or get close to? But it wasn't a dream. He insisted. Look at my wrist. Before I could say a word, Kevin yanked up his sleeve and showed me my arm. There was a deep gash on his wrist, looking exactly like it had been sliced open with a knife. I had dealt with patients who became violent or tried to harm themselves before. I assumed that Kevin had injured himself and now was blaming it on his dream. I had no doubt that Kevin was becoming delusional and showing early signs of violence. Kevin, I think we need to get you into a good psychiatric hospital where they can look after you. I don't think it's a good idea for you to be living alone right now. A psychiatric hospital? Oh, you mean an asylum. You think I'm crazy, don't you? You think I'm the one who made this cut? You think I'm a madman? He lost his temper instantly and started screaming at me. My secretary rushed in when she heard the shouting. She called security and they tried to take Kevin away, but he managed to escape after hitting one of the guards. I tried calling his house, but no one picked up. I waited an extra hour, thinking he might come back to the office, but he didn't. I finally left my office around 9 p.m. and headed home. Our parking garage has 2 levels, B1 and B2. B1 was full, so I circled down to the 2nd level and finally found a spot. As soon as I parked and started walking toward the elevator, a man stepped out of a dark corner right in front of me. Kevin, what are you doing here? Are you okay? You shouldn't have run off like that. I know, doctor, but why did you treat me like I was crazy? I never called you crazy. You got angry at me for no reason. As I spoke, I watched Kevin pacing back and forth, his face contorting into strange expressions. He was looking at me with eyes full of fury. Suddenly, I noticed he was hiding something shiny in his hand, but I didn't have to wait long to find out what it was. You all think I'm crazy, he said. That's why I left my family and came here. I thought someone might finally understand me, but you're all the same, exactly the same. No, Kevin, you're not crazy. You just need a little help, that's all. Help? Nobody can help me. I know if I see her again tonight, I'll chase her again, and this time she might stab me in my dream. If she does, I'll die in real life too, just like when she slashed my wrist. But I'm smarter than she is. I'm not going to let her kill me in my sleep. Kevin looked at me one last time, his voice breaking into a sob. My mother was right. I'm a bad seed. I was sick from the moment I was born. I can't go on like this, doctor. Kevin, no, don't do this. I can help you. Please let me help you. I begged Kevin to hand over the knife, but he backed away. He stopped and said, "Goodbye, doctor." And then he slit his own throat. Blood sprayed from his neck. He clutched his bloody throat and slumped to the ground, coughing violently. "Help! Someone help him!" I screamed for security, but by the time they arrived, Kevin was dead, lying in a pool of his own blood. The paramedics eventually came for his body. The police discovered that Kevin's family had severely mistreated him. His mother used to beat him when he was a little boy. I'm certain those repressed childhood traumas are what drove him to take his own life. I'll never forget the way he looked when he slit his throat that night, right after he said goodbye to me. I'm terrified of being alone in a parking lot. Yeah, I know it sounds like a cliché or even a bit funny, but it's the absolute truth. It all stems back to an incident that completely shattered my sense of security. I live in a fairly large apartment complex with an underground parking garage. Generally, it's a very quiet, unremarkable building. The tenants hardly know each other. I couldn't even tell you how many people actually live there. Anyway, I was getting home extremely late one night. The midnight return. As I pulled into the garage, I checked the time on my phone. 2:15 a.m. The vast, cavernous basement stretched out ahead of me. Cars were parked haphazardly to the left and right, but the garage wasn't very full. I decided to park into the entrance so I could make a quick exit in the morning. I drove straight ahead, passed 2 cars on my left, and pulled into the third spot. After I killed the engine and stepped out, I started the long walk toward the elevator. The garage was dead silent. The only thing I could hear was the hollow, eerie whistle of the wind through the vents. I reached the elevator and pressed the button, only to realize I'd left my phone sitting on the passenger seat. "Damn it," I muttered. Now I had to track all the way back. The tiny handprint. I was almost back to my car when I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps behind me. I spun around instantly, but the garage was empty, just rows of silent vehicles. I figured it was just my imagination playing tricks on me in the dark, so I shrugged it off and kept walking. When I reached my car, something caught my eye. There was a handprint on the driver's side window. It was fresh. I didn't remember touching the glass when I got out. The print was tiny, like it belonged to a small child. I unlocked the door, grabbed my phone, and turned to head back to the elevator. That's when I saw her. A woman was standing right behind me, seemingly out of nowhere. To be honest, I nearly had a heart attack. "Oh, man," I gasped, clutching my chest. "I hope I didn't scare you, sir." I tried to pull myself together and asked, who are you?" "I live here," she replied flatly. "You live here too?" "Yeah, I do. Look, I wanted to ask, is this your daughter's handprint?" The woman leaned in, looking at the glass intensely. Then she started sniffing the air in a really bizarre, animalistic way. "Yes," she whispered. "I think she's hiding somewhere around here. Oh, what a naughty little girl." My gut was screaming that something was wrong. What was this woman doing in a vacant garage at 2 in the morning with a little kid? "I should probably head up now," I said, trying to edge away. "It's late. Good night, ma'am." "Wait," she called out, her voice sharpening. "You have to help me find her. If we don't, people are going to die." I stopped. "What? What do you mean people are going to die?" She took a few small steps toward me and whispered, "You don't know what she does when she's angry. We have to find her before she kills again." She started looking around frantically, biting her nails while staring at me with these huge, wide eyes. She was smiling, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It was terrifying. I was losing my patience and was about to snap at her to leave me alone, but she stopped me. "Did you hear that?" she asked. "What? Ma'am, are you okay? Look, I'm calling security. They'll help you find her." "How old is she? 6? 8? "She looks older, but she's my little girl," she whispered, seizing my hand. "Did you hear that? She's coming. She's finally coming out." I looked around, but I didn't see a child and I didn't hear any laughter. "Ma'am, there's nobody here. You really should call security." "There, look. You must have heard her. There she is." She pointed behind me towards the end of the corridor where the emergency exit stairs were. The door was cracked open, something I hadn't noticed before. The light in the stairwell was flickering violently, making the area look like a glitching nightmare. I thought the woman was just mentally ill and trying to scare me, but as I looked closer, my heart stopped. A gaunt, bony silhouette was crawling down the stairs on all fours. It stopped right at the doorway. It was human-shaped, but it moved with the jerky, unnatural precision of an animal. It crawled out of the darkness into the dim glow of a neon bulb, letting out a low, guttural growl. Before I could even process what I was seeing, the silhouette let out a high-pitched, blood-curdling scream and lunged at me with terrifying speed. The woman next to me burst into a chilling, bone-deep laugh. "There's my daughter, my naughty little thing. She likes you. She's coming to get you." I screamed and tried to bolt in the opposite direction, but it was too late. The girl pounced on me like a predator, slamming me to the concrete. I rolled onto my back, struggling as she tried to claw at my eyes. I grabbed her wrists. Her skin felt cold and leathery. She was incredibly strong. She bit down on my arm and tearing a piece of my flesh away. As she lunged for my throat, baring her teeth, instinct took over. I pulled back and landed a desperate, heavy punch right to her head. She let out a high-pitched scream and tumbled back, giving me just enough time to scramble to my feet. She collapsed right there next to me. Her mother rushed over, sobbing hysterically. No, you hurt my baby. You hurt her." By then, I finally managed to call security. Other tenants started pouring out as well, all of them staring at the girl with terrified eyes. I eventually learned the truth. This woman and her daughter lived in the basement. The mother was delusional, and the daughter was just as mentally unstable. The woman used to work as a cleaning lady, but eventually she just stopped leaving the basement altogether. What disgusted me even more was that the security guard knew exactly what was going on with them, yet no one ever stepped in to help. Even though that girl terrified me and tried to rip me apart, she wasn't herself. I called a friend of mine who runs an NGO. With his help, we were able to get both the mother and daughter into a psychiatric hospital so they could finally get the care they needed. Even though things were resolved as well as they could be, I can't shake the horrific memory of that night. I'm still afraid to be alone in a parking garage. When I stare into the darkness of an empty lot, I can't help but imagine that girl crawling out of the shadows like a wild animal coming for me.